2 miles beneath the surface, where no ray of sunlight can penetrate, in eternal darkness and under crushing pressure, lies a city that should not exist. Its spires pierce the gloom, its streets silent for millennia. The scientists who discovered it were stunned, but their shock was nothing compared to what they felt when they learned that an exact map of this dead city was drawn 2 decades ago by a 10-year-old boy who had never seen the ocean in his life. This story challenges everything we know about time, space, and human consciousness. This isn't just a tale of a lost city. It's the story of an impossible connection, of knowledge that shouldn't exist, and a mystery that still has no answer. If you value stories that make you question reality and push the boundaries of the possible, support our channel with a subscription and ring that bell. What you are about to hear will stay with you for a long time. In 1998, in a quiet suburb in Ohio, lived a boy named Leo. He wasn't like the other kids. Instead of football and video games, his world was confined to a stack of paper and a box of pencils. Leo drew constantly, with an obsession that worried his parents and puzzled his teachers. But he wasn't drawing cars or superheroes. He was drawing a city. Always the same city. He called it Amonet. This wasn't just a sketch, it was a complete, detailed map. Leo would lay out streets with strange, flowing names he invented himself. Whispering Stars Alley, Moonglow Avenue. He drew tall, needle-like towers connected by elegant bridges. At the city's center, there was always a huge circular plaza with 9 obelisks. He drew every house, every alleyway. When asked how he knew all this, he always gave the same answer: "I see it when I sleep." Leo's parents took him to psychologists. The experts were unanimous. The boy had a rich imagination, perhaps as a way to cope with loneliness. His drawings were acknowledged as exceptionally detailed, but nothing more than the product of a vivid mind. He was teased at school, called a dreamer. Over time, under the pressure of society and growing up, Leo began to draw less. By age 15, he had abandoned his maps completely. Amonet was forgotten, tucked away in a dusty folder in the attic. Childhood was over. 20 years passed. Leo became an architect. The irony was not lost on him. He designed ordinary, boring buildings of glass and concrete, and only sometimes, late at night, did he dream of tall spires under dark, starless water. He dismissed these dreams as echoes of a forgotten childhood. The world moved on, and the mystery of Amonet slept in the attic along with the drawings. It slept until an expedition on the other side of the world made a discovery that would change everything. The year is 2018. The research vessel Odyssey is charting the Pacific Ocean, investigating an anomalous zone where magnetometers and sonar readings were going haywire. The team was led by Dr. Eris Thorne, a respected but skeptical oceanographer. He expected to find an unknown volcanic ridge or a large deposit of rare earth metals. He sent down a remotely operated vehicle, the ROV Triton, equipped with the most advanced cameras and sensors. The first few hours of the dive were routine. Darkness, the occasional bioluminescent creature, and the endless marine snow of organic particles. But at a depth of 3,200 meters, the Triton's sonar picked up something incredible. Straight lines, perfect angles, structures that nature could not have created. A heavy silence fell over the control room on the Odyssey. "Put the camera on it," Thorne rasped. What the Triton's beam of light snatched from the darkness silenced even the most seasoned crew members. It was a spire, gigantic, perfectly smooth, made from a material that looked like polished black basalt. Yet sensors showed its density was higher than any known alloy. The ROV glided forward. Another spire appeared, then a bridge, then an entire street of buildings disappearing into the gloom. They had found it. A city at the bottom of the ocean. The news spread across the world. The new Babylon, the underwater Atlantis, the headlines screamed. Scientists were baffled. The city resembled no known human culture. The architecture was alien. Most importantly, geological analysis of the seabed showed that this area had been underwater for at least 100,000 years, long before humanity was building anything more complex than a hut. The civilization that built this city was completely unknown to science. 30-year-old Leo, now Leonard, saw the report on television. He stared at the 3D reconstruction of the city created from the sonar data. His heart began to pound in his chest. He recognized the curve of the streets. He recognized the spires. He shot up from his chair, knocking it over, and ran out of the house without a word to his wife. He drove all night to his parents' home. With trembling hands, he climbed to the attic and found the old, battered folder. He blew the dust off and opened it. Staring back at him was Amonet. At first, no one believed him. Shock, false memory, a desire to be part of a great discovery, said the psychologists he tried to contact. But his older sister remembered. She remembered his obsession and had saved some of the most detailed drawings. She scanned them and sent them to the university overseeing Dr. Thorne's expedition. The email would likely have gone unanswered if a young assistant hadn't noticed one specific detail. The news reports hadn't yet revealed all the details, but the Odyssey's crew knew that in the center of the city was a perfectly circular plaza with 9 tall obelisks arranged in a strange, asymmetrical pattern. And in the drawing by a 10-year-old boy made 20 years ago, the central plaza of Amonet had exactly 9 obelisks arranged in the very same mathematically precise sequence. The coincidence had become an impossibility. Dr. Aris Thorne flew out in person. In the small living room of Leo's parents' house, the gray-haired, weary scientist laid out images from the ocean floor next to the yellowed childhood drawings. The silence was deafening. Leo's map wasn't just similar, it was accurate. He pointed to the street names he had invented, Whispering Stars Alley. Thorne showed him a picture of that street. The walls of the buildings were covered in strange, script-like patterns that vibrated, creating an infrasound picked up by the Triton sensors. They were whispering. Leo became a key figure in the investigation. His childhood memories of dreams were studied under a microscope. He described things the ROV had not yet found. He spoke of a great observatory at the top of the tallest spire, with lenses made of solidified light. He spoke of gardens where glowing plants grew. Each of his fantasies became a new mission objective, and the most terrifying part, they were finding confirmations. How was this possible? The first hypothesis scientists proposed was genetic memory. This is the theory that information can be passed down through generations, not just genetically, but as archetypal memories embedded in our DNA. Could Leo be a distant descendant of this city's inhabitants? Could his DNA have stored a map of his ancestors' home from 100,000 years ago? It sounds like science fiction, but we know that animal instincts are a form of genetic memory. Could this mechanism be far more complex in humans? The second theory came from the world of parapsychology, remote viewing. The alleged ability to acquire information about a remote object, person, or event using only the mind. Militaries around the world have secretly researched this phenomenon for decades. Could a child's brain, not yet constrained by adult skepticism, have accidentally tuned in to the frequency of this dead city? Could he see it through the veil of time and water as clearly as we see what's in front of us? The strangest and most frightening theory suggests that the past, present, and future exist simultaneously, and under certain conditions, information can leak from one point in time to another. Perhaps the cataclysm that destroyed the city created such a powerful imprint on the fabric of space-time that Leo's sensitive mind was able to perceive it. He wasn't seeing the past,
he was seeing an echo that still resonates in our world. The expeditions continued. Not a single skeleton, not a single trace of the city's inhabitants was ever found. They had simply vanished. But artifacts were discovered. Tools made of that same super dense material. Tablets with writings that are still undeciphered. And, most importantly, in the center of the plaza, between the 9 obelisks, they found a perfectly preserved mechanism. A sphere of a quartz-like material inside which lights swirled slowly, resembling galaxies. No one knows what it is, but when the Triton approached it, all of its instruments shut down for a moment. Leo himself became a recluse. The fame and media attention broke him. For him, this wasn't a scientific discovery, it was the return of a childhood nightmare. He said that in his dreams, he didn't just see the city, he felt it. He felt the loneliness of the empty streets and the silent scream of an entire civilization suddenly cut short. He felt their terror. For him, this mystery wasn't a puzzle, it was a personal tragedy. Today, the city, now officially called the Amonet anomaly, is the most protected and studied location on the planet. But there are still more questions than answers. Who built this city? What technology did they possess? Where did they go? And the biggest question of all, how did a 10-year-old boy from Ohio manage to draw its map 20 years before it was discovered?